Ministry of Livestock Development says a sophisticated digital infrastructure will be deployed in checking cases of cattle rustling. Minister of Livestock Development, Idi Mukhtar Neha, said this during a strategic engagement with key industry players in Yola. Yusuf Jiga reports.
It's a promising day with all issues exhausted in line with the federal government intention to apply digital solutions to livestock farming.
If this program succeeds in this country, it will, many countries will emulate it.
Improve from the local breeds we've got, to some other versions of higher breeds of animals for productivity in terms of milk and also in terms of beef. Sensitizing them on the need to embrace the new techniques in animal management.
The minister says the initiative will address the age-long crime militating against the growth of the industry and proposed dialogue as an effective tool during conflict.
Implanting chips to some of these animals so that we can trace them in an event of wrestling, as well as using modern technology that is today being tested within this country.
Idi Maiha inaugurates sales of feed and fodder to farmers cultivated in partnership with Livestock Resilience Support Project and Investo to enhance productivity.
Livestock is feed. Feed is livestock. If you don't have feed and self-sufficient in feed, you don't have livestock. And that's why today we have all these, our brothers and sisters moving all over the country looking for feed. This is the way to go.
The dream is that it should be an all-year production of grasses.
The minister earlier paid homage to Lamido Adama, Muhammad Berkindo to seek support in steering the ship of the ministry. In Yola, Yusuf Jiga, NTA News.
Against the allegation by the military leader of the Nigerian Republic that Nigeria is harboring French military to disrupt his country, and the refutal with clear evidence and precedents by Nigerian government, correspondent Abdullahi Ilalu visited 4 local governments in Sokoto State that are bordering Nigerian Republic. He reports that instead of hostilities and resentment, such action would have brought citizens of both countries along the boundaries having cordial relationship.
Sokoto State shares borders with Nigerian Republic in several local government areas, including Tangaza, Godu, Ilela, and Gada. For years, border communities have lived peacefully with their neighbors from Nigerian Republic. However, allegations by General Chiani, leader of the military junta in Nigerian Republic, claiming that Nigeria hosts French soldiers has been described as untrue. This is the bustling cattle market at Ruawuri village in Tangaza local government area, located less than 40 kilometers from Nigerian Republic. As of our report, people from both countries were interacting and trading harmoniously. Market patrons unanimously contradicted General Chiani's claims, stating they have never seen foreign soldiers in their areas.
An ce akwai sojoji na Faransa, amma dai gaskiya mun ba mu gansu ba, amma sojoji namu sati biyu da sun kauce ma mun gansu hannan gaskiya mun tuci da yawa. Ban taba gani ba, wani bai ce min ya gani ba. Dole kaga dutsen ga kasa garai bakin Niger na.
From Ruawuri village, we proceeded to Bale headquarters of Gudu local government area, where Nigerian soldiers are deployed to counter Lakurawa activities. Residents confirmed they have never seen foreign soldiers even in the deepest bush.
Dangane da sojojin da a gari mu na Najeriya na ba mu da su baƙi waɗanda suka iso nan waɗanda ba mu san da su ba gaskiya. Ba mu gani ba kuma mu jiya ba, kuma ba wanda zai faɗa mana.
We are not aware of any foreign soldiers that are here in our Nigeria. So the soldiers that are living here is only the soldiers that we have in Nigeria, that are in Nigeria, living in Nigeria with us.
At Ilela local government, which also shares a border with Niger Republic, locals described General Chiani's claims as unfortunate. Sarkin Matan Araba urged the Nigerian leader to retract his statement.
To wannan mun ji bakin ciki saboda tsakaninmu da su uwanmu ɗai ubanmu ɗai. Saboda in kaga mutunan Araba ko mutunan Kalmalo ko mutunan Ilela, in bai da dan uwa Niger, bai da gidan uba Niger, ko shina da gidan uwa.
In Gada local government area, residents denied the existence of the Dajin Gaba forest, allegedly used as a base for French soldiers by the Nigerian government as claimed by General Chiani. Security analyst Associate Professor Mutala Ahmad Rufai of Usman Danfodio University, Sokoto, also dismissed the allegations as unfounded and called for their withdrawal.
Well, what prompted the allegation is nothing other than Nigeria. ECOWAS is actually against the military rule, and then the military junta in Nigeria have actually come, and they feel now what President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is saying, he is saying the position and opinion of Nigeria and Nigerians, but the fact of the matter remains that he is speaking on behalf of the ECOWAS and also on behalf of the good-meaning Nigerians. So the fact of the matter is he is trying as much as possible to react, and in my own opinion, the head of the military junta has actually overreacted and he has overstepped his own boundaries.
The border community's confirmation of no foreign soldier presence underscores the baseless and misleading nature of the allegations. From Sokoto, Abdullah Omar Ilalu, NTA News.
In other news, joy and laughter were the common expressions on the faces of all who graced the 40th anniversary of Class 84 of Rumfa College Old Boys Association, Kano. During a reunion and award presentation, the managing director of the news agency of Nigeria, Ali Muhammad Ali, was among the recipients for a distinguished career in journalism. Shehu Adamu reports.
This year's reunion of Rimfoba Class 84 was a special one from the usual nostalgic moment.
Commemorate our period of living secondary education system, this year being the 40th year after our graduation from secondary school.
Some members, including the managing director and chief executive of the news agency of Nigeria, Ali Muhammad Ali, were among those honored for a successful career in their chosen professions.
I'm excited, I'm happy to be so recognized by my contemporaries, by my peers, and also look forward, like I said, who knows, the next 40 years, all of us will die, we're likely to be alive. Those coming behind us should also emulate and get to be recognized in life. Always do good, always think Nigeria and think about your people, your community.
Members who took time to express gratitude to God for sparing their lives to witness 40 years of the beginning of a journey into the world of dreams used the occasion to exchange pleasantries and share love.
This is an opportunity for us to mix and see our colleagues and also find a way to assist the school.
Call the attention of our colleague to be self-reliance and at the same time helping the young ones who are now in Rumfa College.
Special prayer sessions were also offered for the repose of the souls of the departed members, the sick, and for continued peace and prosperity of the nation. In Kano, Shehu Adamu, NTA News.
Court Marshal Federal Safety Corps Shehu Mohammed has urged commuters to be alert and mindful of drivers who show signs of recklessness and drunkenness before embarking on their journeys. The Court Marshal said this as FRSC steps up its sensitization campaigns and in view of the recent crashes that recently occurred in Jebba, Kwara State and in Osher Bridge today. He said the recorded road crashes occurred due to negligence or recklessness of drivers and the inability of passengers to checkmate them, call them to order or even report them to FRSC or other security agencies on their routes. The Court Marshal believes that by taking these simple precautions, commuters can significantly reduce their risk of being involved in road crashes. Property worth millions of naira have been ravaged by fire in Masaka Market, Cairo local government area of Nasarawa State. Blessing Damfulani reports that the victims are coming to terms with the sad realities.
These rubbles were once in good shape for commercial activities in this market. Last night it was gutted by an inferno which affected over 100 business owners who are still counting their losses as goods worth billions of naira were completely razed down. The cause of the fire outbreak, which raged for hours, is yet to be ascertained.
It's very, very terrible. It's very unfortunate. And a lot of traders lost change worth of millions of naira.
The whole of this site got burned, but because of the help of the fire service, they were able to quench this site.
The victims of the disastrous episode appealed for government's intervention.
We don't know what is bringing this fire. We don't know. We don't know. We really feel bad.
We are too long from commercial bank, microfinance bank, and other ones. At least we need to, for the government to come to our aid. We are pleading for the government. Let them help us.
Chairman Karu local government area Aliu Madaki, who visited the scene, assured them of government support.
All the security agencies you can think of were on ground. Even the Serkin Masaka with his health challenge condition, who was also around.
We are trying to go on assessment just like the chairman has said. We are trusting God that at times Godson will come out with the plans.
It will be recalled that few years ago, the sub-market had experienced similar incident. Blessing Amfulani, NTA News.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has, in a message, condoled with the government and people of Jigawa State over the sad loss of the mother of the governor, Umar Namadi, and his son within 24 hours. Delivered by the Vice President, Kashim Shettima, President Tinubu described the death as colossal loss for the family and prayed Allah for the repose of the departed souls. Mohammed Musa Skira reports.
Vice President Kashim Shettima was accompanied by the Governor of Borno State, Professor Babagana Umaru Zulum, Deputy Chief of Staff to the Presidents Ibrahim Hassan Hadeja, and Emir of Machina Bashir Al-Bashir Bukar Machinama, among other dignitaries. Delivering the condolence message of the President, Kashim Shettima said, "It's a difficult experience Governor Umar Namadi has to deal with, and prayed Allah to comfort him and the entire people of Jigawa State over the sad event."
Death is an inevitable destiny that is hanging over everyone's neck. And our heart goes out to the family and to the entire government and people of Jigawa State. May Allah grant the souls of the deceased eternal rest and reward them with his Al-Jannah Firdaus.
Earlier, Governor of Bauchi State Bala Muhammad and that of Yobe State Maimala Buni were also at Kafin Hausa town to sympathize with the governor and his family over the passing away of his mother and his first son.
As Muslims, we will take whatever comes. Certainly, he needs all the encouragement. It is heart-touching. It is heartbreaking. As Muslims, like I said, we have to take solace in the fact that death is inevitable, and it shall when it will.
Deputy Senate President Barau Jibrin was in Jigawa on behalf of the Senate to sympathize with the governor, while Emir of Kano Sanusi Lamido Sanusi led other traditional title holders to condole the governor and the people of Jigawa State.
This loss is something that affects all of us. It's not only himself, it's affected by a family.
The extent of your test is related to your level of faith. Those of the strongest faith are the ones that face the greatest tests. So we pray to Allah that this is a sign of the faith of His Excellency, and we pray that Allah gives him the ability and the fortitude to pass this test.
Governor Umar Namadi thanked Nigerians for identifying with him in these trying moments, praying Allah to reward them all. From Dutse, Muhammad Musa Askira, NTA News.
Chief of Staff to the Kwara State Governor, Prince Mahi Abdul Kadir, has been buried according to Islamic rites. Abdul Wahid reports.
People from within and around Ilorin, the Kwara State capital, trooped out en masse to Adewale Housing Estate Ilorin to perform the Janasa rites on Prince Mahi Abdul Kadir. Dignitaries, including Kwara State Governor Abdurrahman Abdurazak and his Kogi State counterpart, described the death of Kwara State Chief of Staff as a big vacuum that would be difficult to fill.
First, Mr. Malakant Majami Fitrans, this is a great loss, a big shoot of him. He was a stabilizing factor in our administration, our youthful administration. He guided us right. His experience he brought to the table in administration was next to none. We truly miss him indeed. I eternal peace.
Pray to God Almighty to forgive him his shortcomings. My brother was a very peaceful brother, and of course the entire family will miss him and the entire state. There's nothing we can say. From here we come, to him we return. What we owe him now is prayer, and continue to pray for him.
A great man has gone, and we pray for Almighty Allah to forgive his shortcomings and to grant him Al-Jannah Firdaus.
Just a bridge builder, a unifying factor in the family is gone. It will be very difficult for us at this moment. May God ease his path to Jannah to Firdaus.
Prince Maye Abdul Kadri, until his death, was one-time clerk of the State Assembly and was later appointed Chief of Staff to Governor Abdurrahman Abdulrazak after his retirement from service. He died this morning during a brief illness at the age of 73.
Alright, we'll take a break now. When we come back, we'll be discussing the defining moments in 2024 and emerging trends in 2025. Stay tuned.
As this year draws to a close, we would like to express our sincere gratitude for your continued support. From breaking news to heartwarming stories, we are committed to bringing you credible content and delivering captivating programs that keep
Thank you for being there. And just before we delve into the issue, talking about the defining moments for 2024 and of course the emerging trends for 2025. Nigeria's 2024 economic journey has been defined by efforts to curb inflation, implement monetary reforms and address food insecurity, while leveraging milestones like the Dangote refinery for growth. Musa Abubakar reports that the focus remains on sustainable policies and economic inclusion.
As Nigeria's economy navigates the complexities of growth and stability, the Central Bank of Nigeria continues to implement bold measures to address persistent challenges. Here are the key highlights of Q3 2024. To curb rising inflation, the central bank increased the monetary policy rate to 27.50%. This aggressive tightening reflects a determined effort to stabilize prices and safeguard economic growth.
Clearly, we are out to tighten money supply and to ensure that we have a robust structure in place as far as monetary tools are concerned to rein in inflation.
In the foreign exchange market, significant progress was recorded. Nigeria's foreign reserves grew to over $40 billion, providing a robust buffer against economic shocks and reinforcing investor confidence. The Naira moderated to over 1,500 Naira per dollar in the official market, thanks to the introduction of the electronic foreign exchange matching system. However, the parallel market tells a different story, with the Naira trading at over 1,600 Naira per dollar, highlighting ongoing challenges in achieving exchange rate convergence.
It's very important for this convergence to be achieved, because without these speculative activities, round-tripping activities around the exchange rate or around the exchange rate of the Naira to other currencies, that speculators are taking advantage of.
When you look at the facts, the figures, the evidence, we can see that progress is being made. However, when we look at the figures on food security or lack of it, when we look at the figures of multidimensional poverty, when we look at some of the employment figures and our experience we know that much more needs to be done.
On the other hand, the Nigerian Customs Service had a revenue target of 1.27 trillion and 1.3 trillion in Q2 and Q3 respectively, and has also been able to generate 1.39 trillion and 1.57 trillion respectively.
And if Ministry of Finance does not release your funds, having met all the necessary criteria, completed the procurement process, the Ministry of Finance will be scored low for non-release of funds. So we recognize that, and we're working to ensure that that is not repeated in 2025, and also ensure within the extension of the budget we amplify and ensure that we deliver extensively within that period.
Despite the challenges, the central bank's strategic interventions underscore its commitment to building a resilient economy with results, enhanced liquidity, and innovative policies. Nigeria is on a cautious yet optimistic path towards sustainable growth.
Thank you, Musa, for that. And let's bring in our guest. We have in the studio Dr. Emeka Okengo. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me, Ruth.
Let's begin with Nigeria's economic journey for the year 2024. NBS came out with a report that the economy grew by 3.46% in the third quarter compared to 2.54% in the third quarter in 2023. If you're doing a comparison and what has played out over the year, what's your take?
What we're missing there will be your population growth percentages of figures too. That's where you can actually start doing the real matching. If you're growing, for instance, at 5% and your economy is growing at 3%, you find out there's some headwind, as it were. But having said that, I think that we have been able to achieve some growth is actually what's praiseworthy, because we had slid the COVID-19 crisis, the international supply chain shocks, created by a lot of factors, including the Ukrainian war, including the Russian war, and including even what was happening in the Suez Canal, all created a lot of furor around, the international supply cycles. More so that we are depending a lot, and that is how everybody keeps talking about food insecurity, because a lot of the base things, a lot of the grains that were, bringing, not even only us globally, was actually coming from that axis. So yes, a 3% growth is worth celebrating, because at least now we're on the positive. But it's very, very important that we try as much as we can to be able to make, it up to 7% minimum, so that we are now, economy is now growing, at a much more larger or stronger rate than your population. That's when it's a very major factor in trying to rein in, stability in your system.
And going by the inflation rate, we saw central bank's intervention to interest rate 27.50%. What impact, did that have?
Like the central bank governor said, it's all about tightening. It's all about, not having a lot of liquidity. It has its impacts, considering that you're not running a single layer economy. Whereas you can be able to use that to be able to control those physical measures that he wants to at the formal sector. Remember that you also still have, your real sector and your informal sector. They have not been able, a lot of those people that are unbanked, okay, these policies might not help them, as it were. Why is helping those who are in the formal sector, who are what you might be able to call the big ticket people. Those that are unbanked might be the ones that will take a lot of a plunge, because first and foremost, I give you a typical example. You go to the POS now, to go and get 1,000 naira, and then you need to pay maybe some, I think 10,000 for about 500 or 600 or whatever, it is, and then you go to the bank's POS where you're not charged, and you can't get more than 5,000. And if you consider that these people might need to do some, transport to be able to get even to the point where they can use the POS where they are not charged, or the bank POS, okay, the bank ATMs. If you go to the POS, you'll be charged money. If you go to the bank ATMs, there are chances that you might not be able to get them. This is where the complaint will be. And well, I can also say that we are slowly getting there, especially for those who are in the urban areas. I mean, the cashless thing, people are beginning to get used to trading, cashless. You're able to make transfers from either your phone or get a POS to do it for you. But it is still work in progress, like the central bank governor said. So it's not a yeah, just like it's not a nay for me.
And when you mentioned transport, I just recalled the presidential compressed natural gas initiative, which was, launched this year, going by the increasing demand for, fuel, cost-efficient fuel alternatives. We saw the batches, of the CNG vehicles released, and we also saw, the free conversion for commercial vehicles. What do you make of that, going by the projection in the 2025?
I can say that empirically, the CNG lines are growing, much more than the normal PMS lines. If you go to anywhere where they're dispensing, you actually think it's a long queue of petrol, but it's CNG. And I'm not even just talking about, the public transport systems. And it's obvious it's an alternative that people are buying into, and people are buying into well. I'm an advocate of CNG. But I'm also an advocate that in doing CNG within the urban areas, you must be able to also make it possible for somebody who's traveling over 200 kilometers to be able to make that journey fully on that CNG system and be able to come back. So while we are looking at the urban areas being able to, get these refueling points, I think we should also think about some innovative way that can be able to also put those refueling points at the highways. Now that you have mentioned public transportation within the urban areas, I can tell you that the CNG is doing very well. The people are willingly and happily, converting, and there have been no regrets so far. Okay, so it's a good program. I've always supported it. I think it's a way to go. And while we're even looking at the CNG too, we'll also be looking at the EVs, the electric vehicles. It's also another way, I think, to go. If we get these other alternatives, I'm sure it's going to be taking a lot of the pressure. And you will find out that just 2 months into the introduction of CNG, even the prices of a PMS are slowly and steadily dipping. Okay, is that where we want it to be? Probably not. But what is important is that CNG and PMS has proven that in Nigeria, whatever comes up goes up. They say it never comes down, but we've seen it coming down now, and that's quite encouraging
and commendable.
Yes.
Especially if we want to look at the progression of the CNG initiative.
Yes.
What would you say are the likely areas to look into in the year?
For me, food security. And when I'm talking about food security, I'm just not talking only about agriculture. I'm talking about food security vis-a-vis technology and technology-supported food production systems. And I must commend the Federal Ministry of Agriculture. They've introduced some homestead thing where everybody now becomes part of this production, this food production. Just like we said that security is everybody's business. The most essential and critical security is actually food security. Because without food, trust me, nothing else works. Okay? Okay, when they say that a hungry man is an angry man is a madman. Food is very, very central and critical. The second will be skill. And in this case, I would like probably if you allow me, if I have the time, to divide what I think should be the way going forward, and then identify those ministries that should be able to, be held accountable or should lead the charge. Now, if we're talking about skill, we're not just going to be talking about the formal education, we must also look at 3 other aspects of education: formal, skill, okay, life. All right, and all of them must be demand, driven and the result oriented. I've lost a lot of people to attrition of education, especially in these war-torn areas and basically all across Nigeria. So the Ministry of Education has a lot of role to be able to play there. Then you talk about us being able to build our national bulge vis-a-vis that creating employments, and I'll be looking at the Ministry of Steel and the Ministry of Solid Minerals because the mines, between those 2 ministries, they can actually take 5 million people, both in the mines, at the level of a metal, which is the beneficiation and the level of taking it to steel. Now the third will be the Ministry of Blue and Marine Economy. It's very, very important that we also focus there, because it's going to now be allowing us to be able to now build those convergence points that we keep talking about. Okay, because remember that ECOWAS was actually formed to be able to now develop that integration in our economic activities, and what is key, to be able to form that loop and build those spokes will be our waterways, our water bodies. Now that the president has created our ministry, I think it's a very important one. Now, I also end with the Ministry of Science and Technology. So what have I been able to create for you here now? That these very critical and central ministries, must build synergies amongst themselves and then have outputs that can be measured. I saw in your intro, the madam who's in charge of CDDU, the coordinating agencies, talking about who can be marked. I think we should be able to align all these agencies together. The Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security must have a working relationship with the Ministry of Science and Technology. That's very critical. The Ministry of Education, must have a relationship, all right, with all these other agencies, so that we can be able to now create this skill bulk that does not necessarily now deal with only the formal education, so that we can begin to now build skills as the basis of going forward at that lower level, at the mid-level, and then probably even at the top level. Because yesterday we had people cracking their heads, tying candles, and lanterns to their head and burning the midnight candle. 2 days after that, we had computers, doing a lot of the jobs, but you needed to start knocking on those jobs. Okay. Today we have AI, so that if we're not ready to get into that AI world, we're going to be left, further than we are behind.
All right, but again, of course, we've seen the attention given to digital skills in this year by the federal government. Let's take a break. We'll pick up with the conversation. Stay tuned.
Make your calls to all networks. That's what she
sector.
The era of technology and ICT innovation has created a paradigm shift in the dynamics of global economics, and Nigeria is also taking a giant leap to be counted amongst the Committee of Nations. Experts say Nigeria gained traction in technology and innovation by helping to harness the skills of Nigerian youths in different areas in technology such as AI, robotics, and technological innovations to guarantee food security and stop post-harvest losses.
We have seen in practice the increasing number of Nigerians that have access to mobile banking. We have seen the application of ICTs in traffic management, particularly in Lagos. We have also seen some states establish online processes for tax returns.
We have done excellently well in the area of financial technology and educational technology, and we are having a growing segment of firms that are becoming major regional, international and global players in the health technology, in insurance technology and other sectors.
This development, experts say, should be sustained to gain more momentum in year 2025, with healthcare delivery expected to experience the revolution of technology and innovation.
Companies will be adopting AI applications to ensure that they have competitive advantage. The other development that is bound to happen will be increased activities in the cybersecurity world.
Let there be a proper needs analysis, and let us escalate and allocate the necessary resources that will help patriotic Nigerians to actually fund and drive the economic growth and development organically.
Sustaining the growth trajectory in ICT requires public-private partnership and synergy, which experts say will fast-track the realization of Nigeria's digital targets. In Lagos, Joel Mukbola, NTA News.
All right, Dr. Okengu, you've seen the report there on the impact of the technology sector. We should also look at other policies and reforms. We have the tax reform bill that is, raising a lot of debates, but the federal government says, it will help, the corporate and personal taxes.
Yeah, I agree. I agree technology is increasing, it's expanding, but what a lot of the things you've just we listened to is actually linked to the services sector of technology, which is where you have the soft skills. Had I been more comfortable if we had introducing these things, especially with the introduction of the CBTs, introduce CBTs into examination process from junior secondary probably, so that children cannot get their hand. Tax reform bill, you need to read that bill. If you read that bill thoroughly, you will be very surprised that it even impacts on some sections of the PIB. It's going to be repealing at least 6 to 7 existing bills. So what you want to do is to have a seamless system where you just have what you call your national tax systems. And I think what should bother us is that we are moving from a system where if you earn 300,000, you are paying 7% of that. Okay, right? To if you're earning under 800,000, you're not paying anything. So when people want to criticize a bill, everybody says, it's all about revenue share. But I also think it's all about promoting productivity. Okay, it's all about people now waking up. Because take it or leave it, we've existed within some sense of entitlement, okay, for a very long time. All right, so if we are going to be growing our country and growing the way we want to grow at this 7% that we must grow, we must get productive. Because what you seem to be doing now is using instruments to be able to manage both our fiscal and our monetary policies to be able to now, stabilize our currency. And somebody was talking about this single window. If you had, a productive sector that was seamless, that carried everybody along, you would be needing to be talking about parallel markets. It wouldn't be necessary. So sometimes I say to people, development is a very tortuous, sometimes slow, but extremely tortuous process. But if you are able to go read and you're measured about your planning, yes, there might be some need for people to give something for something else, to happen. So if we don't give that sacrifice, and trust me, we have too many people that we need to be pulling out of poverty if we're going to be keeping this country as some corporate entity. So whatever sacrifices that needs to be made now, what government needs to do is to probably create some social network that carries and identifies those most vulnerable people, and they are real. Okay, because for me, if we are able to get our single registers, and you now have that register of most vulnerable people that government needs to begin to assist in some way, and then we get our local government and CDAs running. Okay, we need to focus on the big picture. And the tax bill, please, I beg you, my opinion is that it's probably one of the biggest things that can happen to us, added to the electricity bill if we have time to talk about it. That's also now allowing 5% for host communities to start building infrastructure and so many other things, but I guess there's no time for us to read everything.
Dr. Okengu, when you mentioned the vulnerable groups, you're talking about the National Social Register. That is an ongoing project according to the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, which the World Bank has a strategic role to play. But that aside, let's look at the budget, the appropriation bill for 2025, 49.7 trillion, titled the Budget of Restoration, which for the present administration will restore that hope and rebuild prosperity. What's your take?
We don't have a bill, we have a proposal. That's very important.
Yeah, that's the proposal.
So until it becomes a bill, it's not cast in stone. It's only when it becomes a bill and it's signed by the president, but expectedly, maybe there won't be a lot of changes. Now, having said that, 47 trillion is very little money. It's one money, probably an oil company, somewhere, not even in the developed world is using, and that's the truth. It's not a lot of money. Now, if you just oppose that 47 trillion against the value of the naira today against the dollar, you find out that when we were doing 9 trillion, it was almost the same thing. if we discontinent it. So the point I'm trying to make is that yes, it is a good budget, but I think people think it's ambitious. I don't think it's ambitious. I think it's actually not as I thought it would have been much huge. But what is interesting about it for me is the percentage of a budget that is now tied to deficit. Now, if we are able to keep reducing what we are borrowing to be able to fund the budget, it simply means we should be going towards productivity. I am for production. If we have 80 million young people with, brawn, and a lot of them also brains, we shouldn't be talking about not being able, to raise 100 trillion to run our budgetary systems. If we ramp in everything we should do, I can tell you something for free before maybe I leave. We have 3 billion metric tons of iron ore sitting under our grounds. A metric ton of iron ore now in the market is $100 route. If we removed only 1 billion and sold it at $50, you'd have raised all this money we are talking about. So it is for us, like I mentioned, the Ministry of Mines. I also mentioned the Ministry of Mines. There's an agency they call the Solid Minerals Development Fund. If we begin to give impetus to such agencies to do what it is they are supposed to do, money, trust me, Nigeria is one of the richest countries in the world. Out of our 450, minerals that have been found, probably in 37 or something locations, less than 2% of it has been explored. I'm not even talking about exploited. If you get the right skills, get the right human capital, get everybody to have a skill, okay, everybody, I'm talking about everybody, to begin to now contribute only maybe 1,000 naira as tax, and we are 200 million people. Let us assume that 60% of that 200 can pay tax of 1,000 naira. How much would that be in a month? Can you do the maths? So it's all about productivity.
Now, Dr. Okengo,
okay.
We're not going to leave this place, but that's very crucial, talking about the skills. But going forward, it's just a few days before we begin, 2025, and there's a lot of plans. You mentioned key sectors that should be leveraged on if we want to see prosperity and stability. But what is the hope, do you think, Nigerians will begin to see in the coming year?
Yes, if you believe in yourself, then you can believe in any other thing. The first thing is losing confidence in yourself. Yeah. One of the worst things you want to do is to deal with somebody who says, I've given up on life. So the first thing I tell everybody is that it's your life. Okay, if the day you don't eat and you're able to eat kernel, remember that some people ate it and they ate it joyfully. I was telling a story. Yeah, my father used to work in the university, but each time I went to the village, one of my greatest joys was joining my cousins to roast yam and eat it. And after that, I didn't want any other meal. And I can tell you, those guys were stronger, they were healthier. Okay, so what you eat and how you eat it is who you become. Some people will eat that yam and they are thanking God Almighty. My kids are crazy about yam and oil now, because I've learned to say to them, what it is you put inside your mouth is not what matters. That you're hungry today does not mean you're going to be hungry tomorrow. So for me, my message to Nigerians, I live what I'm saying. I live it. My message to Nigerians is that it is all about you. First and foremost, say I can and I will. And the moment you build that confidence in yourself, then go out and do something.
All right.
Something, but don't steal, please.
Thank you, Dr. Okengo, talking about being patriotic and believing in Nigeria. And that's where we'll call for a break. We'll be back. Please stay tuned.
From the Atlantic across the savannas and Sahara, we rise, the land of the free, we know the tire. We dream great, our spirit is undying.
Resilient, rooted like palm tree, we swear you gonna. We stand up in the ground, we make solutions, we make passion, yeah. Education, we are more than just a nation. We are Nigeria. We are Nigeria, strength and unity. We know the coming life. We are Nigeria. We are Nigeria. Together live the dream of a land with great destiny. We are Nigeria.
Thank you for staying tuned. Next will be sports update and Ayo Deji Makinde is standing by. Ayo.
Oh yes, Ruth, let's begin with football because Nigeria is through to the finals of the Championship of African Nations in Kenya, Tanzania and Uganda after the eased to a 3-1 victory over arch rivals Ghana at the Godswill Akpabio International Stadium in Uyo. Remo Stars defender Ismaila Sadiq opened scoring in the 19th minute before Junior Nduka doubled the advantage for the home-based Eagles. Isaac Xavier made it 3 in the 25th minute to put Nigeria in firm control. However, the Ghanaians pulled one back in the 73rd minute through Stephen Amankonan, but that was not enough as coach Daniel Ogumodede tinkered the Super Eagles to the championship for the first time since 2018, prompting reactions from the NFF and the National Sports Commission.
We're going to take it from there, and we're going to try as much as possible to give them the good preparation they need for us to ensure that we come back with champ trophy in Nigeria.
We'll be very ready to put all support. If you look at the budget that is in the occupation bill right now, that Mr. President has presented, you'll see that provision has been made for qualifiers of this nature that were not, teams that were not qualified for.
Now in other results, Central African Republic edged out Cameroon on 2-0 on a away-goal rule. Rwanda pipped South Sudan to the ticket, also on the away-goal rule as match ended 4-2 legs. Zambia beat Mozambique 3-0 to record a 6-0 aggregate win just as Senegal brushed aside Liberia 3-0 to secure a 4-1 aggregate win. Elsewhere, Thunder FC of Agaragu ended the year on a high note as they defeated OB United by a lone goal in the final of Milafia Peace and Unity Football Tournament. With this victory at the 8th edition of the tournament, Thunder FC claimed not only the tournament title, but a cash prize of 1 million naira. Second placed OB United and third placed Giant Killers of Agaragu were rewarded with consolation souvenirs, just as the fourth place team equally won. The Milafia Peace and Unity Cup established itself as a symbol of hope and unity in Nasarawa State, enhancing community spirits and social cohesion.
Government cannot do everything for us. If each and every one of us, people like me, find time to be able to see where they feel they can be able to do things, to be able to help the society will be a better place. It's among the best competition, if not the best.
Alright, let's quickly tell you that the English Premier League returns on Sunday with defending champions Manchester City at the King Power Stadium against Leicester. Tottenham welcome Wolverhampton Wanderers and Nottingham Forest visit the Goodison Park for the matchup against Everton. Crystal Palace and Southampton are in London derby, while league leaders Liverpool hope to extend their lead when they visit West Ham United. And that's your sports. It's back to Ruth.
And that's Weekend File. Thank you for your company. I'm Ruth Aguilera. Good night.